What's Happening Hoax Show is filmed before a live audience and is brought to you by nunboys.com and GPS Photography and Video, gpsphotoandvideo.com.
Here's my first promise. I'm not going to get arrested in that county. I don't want to face the sheriff or DA Newton. Thank you, Brownie. Thank you, board. I appreciate it. I got to tell you a story on the way here tonight. Some guy pulled up alongside my truck, and his windows rolled down, and he's pointing at me to pull over. And my dad was a police officer, so I'm not going to pull off on the shoulder. So I went up to the gas station and pulled in, and he jumped out of his car and came up to me and said, "I'm a veteran. I've been following you, and we need help." He did 2 tours in Iraq, and the second tour he broke his back. And he's been fighting with the DA ever since. I know there's veterans in this room. I served in the National Guard. And I have to tell you, that's got to be a top priority for all of us in terms of what we do. Because right here, your community, this is where it's at. It's not that place in Washington, D.C. Believe me, I've been up there a lot, and people say, what happens when you go there? What do they do? What water are they drinking? So here's my second promise. I'm going to have a table in my office, and I'm going to have Polk County water and Chatham County water, and I'm going to have Moore County and Lee County water, and everybody on our staff is going to have to drink that water. This is, I have to tell you, I'm a Republican, and I'm a conservative, and I believe in those conservative values. Now, I wasn't always a Republican. There was a time I was a Democrat, and I just went through a transition in life where I saw the failure of big government. And that, to me, changed my life. I went back to my old high school. Now, by now, you know I didn't grow up around here with my accent. I just tell people I'm from the northern part of the district. I grew up in a little town in New York called the Bronx. My dad was from Anderson, South Carolina. And in World War II, his ship was sunk off the coast of Casablanca in the invasion of North Africa, and 59 of the 120 men on his ship died. He subsequently became a cab driver in New York, and I'll never forget the day we moved from the projects because he became a police officer. Lived in the Astoria projects in Queens. I didn't know they were the projects because home was a pretty cool place. And moved into one of these connected brick homes. But I was fortunate because I had great parents my whole life. I used to dream about traveling the world, and I have. And I have to tell you, in my opinion, we have kids that aren't dreaming anymore. I worked, the high school I went to, when I was there was one student of color. It was an 800-boy high school. And when I went back to visit them 25 years later, because I was very successful in business and I wanted to go back and show everybody how great I was there weren't any white guys. And those kids transformed my life. My wife and I started to give scholarships, but those boys became part of our life. They're men with families and are very successful. Unfortunately, we had to bury some of them too. One is a Division I head basketball coach at the University of South Florida, Orlando, Antigua, the first Hispanic Harlem Globetrotter. 6 years ago, I was watching the State of the Union speech. And in my opinion, the president humiliated the Supreme Court. This is when, if you recall, Senator Schumer and Durbin stood up and they clapped over the heads of the Supreme Court. I took my socks off and I looked at my wife and I threw my socks at the television. And I said, I have to get involved. And she said, is this the same thing that you said when you were going to take acting lessons and win an Academy Award? And I said, no, this is for real. And I did what I should have done a long time ago. What you all are doing in your community. I got involved. I went to put up signs. I went to lick envelopes. I just felt like I needed to do something. Well, because of my business experience and experience in charities that I've been fortunate enough to work with, in short order, I became the Chatham County chair and became involved in a lot of other organizations. And now I'm standing in front of you, asking you for your vote for Congress. This is amazing. This journey that I've been on, I've been blessed by God. And I know there are Democrats here, and I love you, man, because we share the same God. And God is the center of my life. If you want to know me, you have to understand that God is the center of my life. Now, I walked in here tonight prepared to give a different speech, and the cameraman says, "Where's your football?" Because I was here just a few weeks ago, and I gave a talk surrounding a football, and so I'm going to give it to you all. This is a football. Now, those are the words of Vince Lombardi. Now, some of you in here remember Vince Lombardi, Green Bay Packer coach. That's how he began every season. This is a football. And he didn't care if you guys were seasoned pros or brand new rookies coming off a bus from college. He wanted people to know the basics, the fundamentals. He wanted people to know what would be a path for success. I want to submit something to you. This is our Constitution. This is our rules of governance, our rules of law. These are our path to success. But something has happened over the last several years in our country. We've taken this document, and the words of Abraham Lincoln, and everybody here knows them. Help me with it. Government of the people. And it ends with, shall not perish from this earth. We have sometimes casually and forcibly pushed this off to the sidelines because of political ideology. We have grown a federal government that's supposed to be a limited federal government. And there's no greater example than in the 2nd District of North Carolina. That's the district that I'm running for, against incumbent Renee Elmers. And I want to give you 3 reasons why I think you all should make a change. The first is a voting record. Now I want you to take a look at the 2nd District. It is known as a +11 district, which makes it a conservative district. Representative Elmer's voting record. According to organizations that put out report cards, is in the 50th percentile. Is there anyone here who would accept a 52 or 55% report card from your kids? She has disappointed on immigration. She's disappointed on the issues of life. Just this past week, we had the March for Life in Washington, D.C. A year ago, Representative Elmers pulled the pain-capable bill off the floor of the House. 500,000 people marching for life were there to celebrate the passage of that. And she stopped it. She has raised and voted for our debt ceiling every single time. Who are we to give that burden to our children and grandchildren and future generations? The men on my father's ship, they didn't die for that. The second reason we need to change, and according to these same organizations, is that the strategy that Representative Elmers has embraced is one that says, wait until we have a supermajority in the House on the Republican side and a supermajority in the Senate and the presidency. In his letter to a Birmingham jail, Martin Luther King says, waiting means never. This document calls for confrontation. This document calls for us to stand up, even if we disagree. But when we walk on eggshells, when we placate and let the executive branch go out of control, you're losing your freedoms. When I was a kid growing up in the projects, I learned that the individual, I learned it from my faith, I learned it in my school, and I learned it from my parents, that the individual is a gift from God. Not to share some equal level of misery. That every individual is unique. When we don't fight, it's okay to get the pitchforks out. It's okay to say, I think you're wrong. And it's okay to compromise, as long as you don't compromise your principles or your values. And the third piece, which is very big in the 2nd District, that is, what does it mean to be a representative? If I went around and asked each of you, what do you think it means to be a representative? I'll guarantee I'm going to hear words like this. They listen. They respond. They show up. They're engaging. They're encouraging. They lift people up. They bring people together to form a team. In that regard, Representative Elmers has failed. I come from the private sector. I leased high-tech equipment with computers and provided disaster recovery services. Let me tell you this, if this were the private sector, Representative Elmers would have already been fired. Too much is at risk. It's the future of our country, the future of our children. And I'm on a mission. And people have hit on it. The sheriff's hit on it. D.A. Newton has hit on it. Brownie's hit on it. The solution, you see, is you. You're the solution. And part of that solution is to vote for me. Come together on our team. Allow me to take your voice to Washington, not force Washington, D.C.'s voice on you. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe in limited government. I believe in opportunity for all and favoritism for none, and that includes corporations. I believe in secured borders and our national security. I believe in a civil society. And I believe that our religious liberty is under attack like it's never been before. And I will fight for that. Let me just, some of you will remember this as I conclude, Brownie. When I was a kid in grammar school, you'll remember this. Some of you will. We used to practice going under our desk in the event of nuclear war. And I think back on that, I go, what would I see last? What would, but our generation, my generation, we lived through Vietnam. And I still say we're the most fortunate generation because of what the World War II generation gave us. And we, people were saying there's no way you could ever defeat communism. We have to wait a little bit. We just need to contain communism until a person by the name of Ronald Reagan and Pope Paul II and Margaret Thatcher came along. We saw the Berlin Wall crumble. And what is happening in America today? We're seeing our resolve crumble. Our commitment that the World War II generation made that said, let's do something for another generation. I guarantee you, people my age, we're not planning to be here at this point doing this. I promise you, this has never been on my radar screen to run for office. I am an outsider. But we're being called right now to fight. This is our Normandy. please join my team. I appreciate your time. I appreciate that you guys have a great community. This is a terrific turnout. God bless you all. And you can look at jimfrenzy.com, but please pray for me. All right. I've got my wife. We're celebrating our 45th anniversary in 2 weeks, and so she said this whole political trip is really interesting, but that day you're going to be with me, and I will be. So thank you all very much.